Ajivattamagashil.
Yes, okay.
Okas aham bhante ti saranena sa ajivattamaggashilam dhammang yachami anugaham katva shilam detame bhante dutiyamti okas aham bhante ti saranena sa ajivattamaggashilam dhammang yachami anugaham katva shilam detame bhante तत्यंति ओकास अहम भन्ते तिसरनेन स आजीव अट्ठमग्गशीलं धम्मं याच्चामि अनुगहं कत्वा शीलं देथमे भन्ते
Yamavajami Tamadeta.
तां भन्ते
Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa.
नमो तस्स भगवतो अरहतो सम्मा सम्बुद्धस्स नमो तस्स भगवतो अरहतो सम्मा सम्बुद्धस्स नमो तस्स भगवतो अरहतो सम्मा सम्बुद्धस्स
Buddham Saranam Gacchami. Dhammam Saranam Gacchami. Sangham Saranam Gacchami.
बुद्धं शरणं गच्छामि धम्मं शरणं गच्छामि संघं शरणं गच्छामि
Dutiyambi Buddham Saranam Gacchami. Dutiyambi Dhammam Saranam Gacchami. Dutiyambi Sangham Saranam Gacchami.
द्वितीयंपि बुद्धं शरणं गच्छामि द्वितीयंपि धम्मं शरणं गच्छामि द्वितीयंपि संघं शरणं गच्छामि
Tadiyambi Buddham Saranam Gacchami. Tadiyambi Dhammam Saranam Gacchami. Tadiyambi Sangham Saranam Gacchami.
तृतीयंपि बुद्धं शरणं गच्छामि तृतीयंपि धम्मं शरणं गच्छामि तृतीयंपि संघं शरणं गच्छामि
Sarana Gahanam Baribunam.
आं बन्ते
Can you recite?
या पाणातिपाता वीरमणि सिक्खापदं समाधियामि अदिन्नदाना वीरमणि सिक्खापदं समाधियामि कामेषु मिच्छाचारा वीरमणि सिक्खापदं समाधियामि मुसावादा वीरमणि सिक्खापदं समाधियामि पिशुना वाचा वीरमणि सिक्खापदं समाधियामि परुषा वाचा वीरमणि सिक्खापदं समाधियामि संपप्पलापा वीरमणि सिक्खापदं समाधियामि मिच्छा आजीवा वीरमणि सिक्खापदं समाधियामि
Sarane Nasa Ajivatamaka Silam Dhaman Sarukam Katavapamādena Sambhadita.
आम बन्ते साधु साधु साधु.
Okay. Is there any other program?
No, Bante, you can start Dhamma Desna.
Oh, okay, so we will start. Before we start giving Dhamma talk, we will pay homage to the Buddha by reciting Namo Tassa 3 times. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. Today we have to talk about the 8th Lokdhamma. I think you have already understood the Pali words Lokdhamma. So we were born together with Lokdhamma. The Buddha also explained many times about Lokdhamma. So when we study in Anguttara Nikaya, we can find 2 suttas about Lokdhamma in the Book of 8. There the Buddha talk about the 8 conditions with opinions addressing the bhikkhus, monks. These 8 worldly conditions spend after the words, and the world spends after these 8 worldly conditions. So that means these words, although we say the world systems, but in reality, we living beings are going together with the 8 conditions. We living beings have to encounter these 8 conditions. Then what are the 8? What I explained: gain, loss, fame, disgrace, praise, blame, pleasure, and pain. These are the 8 conditions we have in our community. So these are the 8 conditions we have to encounter every day in our daily life. So when do we start experiencing or encountering these 8? Since we were born. We were born together with these 8. Although we try to avoid it, we cannot be successful. We cannot avoid it. Although we try to stop it, we cannot stop it. It's the nature of this world. This is the nature of the life. When we have life, we have to encounter all these 8. But the problem is how we accept it, or how we react or respond to all these 8 conditions. As we know that the Buddha himself could not avoid these 8 conditions: gain and loss. For example, when the Buddha was spending Vasa in Viranja, even he could not have enough food. He may have food, but it's very gross, not good quality. So even the Buddha himself sometimes can get a lot of things, but sometimes he cannot get anything. Sometimes he was famous. He has, like we can say, good reputations. Sometimes defamed by many other non-Buddhists. He was complained by many people. Sometimes there's a pain in his body, although he has pain, but he is arhat, he is also a Buddha. That's why he could overcome it by entering into the attainment, fruition attainment. So anyway, the main thing is even the Buddha himself cannot avoid these 8 worldly conditions. Then the Buddha disciples, Venerable Sariputta, Venerable Mahamoggallana, Venerable Mahakassapa, any of his disciples cannot avoid these 8 conditions. Then I have to elaborate the conditions that make people's mind change first. For example, gain. So we are working for gain every day, especially all the businessmen, businesswomen are trying to earn more money every day. So sometimes we can get what we want. Sometimes we cannot get what we want. Even the Buddha said in Dhamma Sutta, Tampi Channa Lavati, Tampi Dukkha. Not getting what we want is also suffering. We have already learned this one in Dhamma Sutta. So now, from time to time, we may have got what we expect. Sometimes we cannot get as we expect. Both of them can make our mind change. So we are shaken by, our mind is shaken by these two conditions, getting and not getting, gain and not gain. So sometimes when we have got what we expected or what we wanted, we are very much happiness, we are very happy, too much excitement, too much elation. But sometimes we cannot get what we expected, what we wanted. Then we feel sorry. A lot of distractions, a lot of displeasure in our minds. So we are overwhelmed by stressful conditions. So then the Buddha explains to his disciples, yes, these are shaken minds. We are shaken by these worldly conditions. But similarly, we have the next pair. After gain and fame, gain and loss, we have fame and disgrace. In our society, especially in modern community, many of people wish to be famous. They wish to be celebrity. They wish to be popular. They wish to be influential. But we cannot be as we expected. We need many other supporting causes. We have to establish our morality. We have to do many good things. We must work for our societies very well. Then we can have good reputation. Then sometimes we cannot have good reputations. We may have bad reputations. Now one more thing here. We talk about faith. In Pali, we use yasa and ayasa. Yasa means sometimes we have a lot of followers, a lot of companions, a lot of attendants. Sometimes we don't have. Even the Buddha himself, sometimes he was alone. You may have known the Buddha spent in Bali Layaka forest. He was alone, assisted by elephants. So that means even the Buddha had to experience these things, yasa and ayasa. So that means sometimes we have a lot of companions, a lot of followers, a lot of attendants. Sometimes we are alone. So when we have a lot of companies, a lot of companions, a lot of friends, a lot of followers or attendants, we will be happy. Then when we are alone, we will feel loneliness and not that much happiness. So briefly, we have to experience these two, yasa and ayasa, fame and disgrace. Then another one is praise and blame. This is also very common in the world system. Mostly, people are very easy to complain or blame, but very rare to praise other people. This is the nature of our life. Not only that, when somebody praises us, we think it's too little. She should praise me more than that. You know, we have this kind of expectation. When somebody blames or complains, it's too much. Why he should say like that or she should say like that? Although they say very minor things, we think it's too much. You know, we are not ready to accept the blames by other people. Although we expect too much praise. This is the way we expect it from other people. In reality, we ourselves must be ready to praise other people. We must complain less than we praise. So we must not be that much easy to blame other people. We have to change our attitudes. If we expect praise by other people, we must praise others. If we don't expect blame, we must not blame other people. We have to follow this rule and regulations. If we can practice well, then we can be praised by many people. Then pleasure and pain, the last one, the last group. So in our daily life, we are looking for happiness every day, every night. We were trying to create different types of happiness. Also, there are a lot of entertainment, a lot of performance, a lot of shows. There are many pages, many websites, many articles, many books, many entertainments in modern society. People look for pleasure. Sometimes we are looking for pleasure, but we feel pain from the pleasure. So what about the pain? We don't look for the pain. We don't expect, we don't wish to get pain, but we can avoid it. So these are 8 conditions we have to experience in our daily life. There are 4 good conditions. We can also say 4 agreeable, desirable conditions. Then we also have 4 disagreeable and desirable conditions. Then, so how should we know that? How should we handle all these situations? Then the Buddha explains to his disciples. So when encountering these 8 conditions, ordinary and uneducated, ordinary persons, and educated noble disciples are different. Then the Buddha asks, what is the difference between these two? The Bhikkhu replied, all the teachings come from the Buddha. All the teachings come from Buddha's guidance. All the teachings are based on the Buddha's guidance. Then they requested the Buddha to clarify the differences between the 2 persons, how they respond or react when encountering these 8 conditions. Then the Buddha explained to his disciple, addresses. In that case, monks, listen, pay full attention. I will explain it. Then Bhikkhu replies, as you say, Lord. When an uneducated ordinary person encounter gains, for example, it does not reflect. Gain is impermanent. Okay, here I should stop here for a while, right? Gain is impermanent. Right. Today we can gain, but tomorrow we are not sure. Whenever we encounter this kind of good situations, good conditions, we have to check ourselves how long it will last. We are trying for many different types of gain. We do gain, right? This kind of things, that kind of things. So we are born. Okay. In our childhood, we need pocket money from our parents. If we get, we are happy. If we cannot get, we may cry. Right? So this is the way we have to experience in our daily life. So now, gain. This is not that much long. Some of the gain can last only one day. Some of the gain only a few hours. Sometimes it can be maybe a few years, a few months. It cannot be whole life. Right? Or for example, if we can attain hardship, sure, this kind of gain is a whole life. If we can attain path and fruition knowledge, this is a whole life. Okay. This kind of thing is okay. This kind of gain is a novel. It's okay. But for about worldly gain now, it's not all the time, limited time. There are many things we cannot get. Right? Then also, the Buddha said, it's stressful. really, really stressful. When we are trying to earn something, trying to gain something, we have to work very hard. A lot of stressful, very stressful. After getting something, we have to maintain, we have to protect it. After protecting, also, when we are protecting also, it's very, very much terrible, a lot of stressful. We are stressful. That is why gain is impermanent, gain is also stressful. We can also say gain is a suffering. After getting, sometimes we are more greedy, we have to get more. If we can earn maybe $20 or maybe $100 a day, we have to earn more than that. Trying all the time, more stressful. Then it's also subject to change. We call in Bali Dhamma. When the situation change, it turns to suffering. For example, now we gain. If we make some mistakes, it can change into loss. There can be failure any times. So 1 hour ago, we are successful. Then 1 hour later, we can fail everything. We can get lost everything. Everything is changeable. That's why gain is also subject to change. So we must know all these situations. That's when the Buddha explained to his disciples. When an uneducated, ordinary person, here we say uneducated, ordinary person, encounters gain, he does not reflect. Gain is impermanent, stressful, and subject to change. He does not know the true nature of gain. Yes, we have to know the true nature of gain. So that means all our belonging have the nature of destroying. It can be destroyed by nature or destroyed by somebody. Either way. Then it can also be destroyed by our enemies. Sometimes it's also destroyed by our beloved one. Whatever situation we have to know the true nature of gain. Then again, when we encounter loss or failure, it should be the same. The Buddha said, when an uneducated ordinary person encounter the loss, he does not reflect. Loss is also impermanent, stressful, and subject to change. So everybody knows the failure can be stepping stone, right? We have, and everybody knows that kind of that proverb, that saying, right? All the failure can be stepping stones. We have this kind of theory, this kind of saying. So failure also impermanent. Of course, when we get lost, a lot of stress, it's stressful. When we fail the exam or when we fail in the marketing or we get lost everything, a lot of stressful. We have a lot of stress. It's really stressful. But later we can change our systems. If we have never experienced bitter, we will know the value of the sweet. We have to experience both bitter and sweet. When we have experience or when we have taste bitter, then we can know the value of sweet more. Anyway, then the Buddha also mentioned here, he does not know the true nature of loss or failure. So we must know it's also impermanent. Similarly, when an uneducated ordinary person encounter fame or having many attendants, companions, followers, or friends, He does not reflect. Fate is impermanent, stressful, and subject to change. He does not know the nature of fate. Today, we can be popular, well-known. Tomorrow, we may have ill reputation. Today, we are celebrity. Tomorrow, we can be notorious. It's changeable. Even one single mistake can change our life. That is why it's also impermanent. We have to know. It's also stressful. We have to know. Then again, disgrace. No more attendance. No more companions. No more friends. So when an educated ordinary person encounters disgrace, it does not reflect. Disgrace is impermanent, stressful, and subject to change. He does not know the true nature of disgrace. Then you can also imagine, you can also understand the remaining, the worldly conditions, praise and blame, right? Similarly, pleasure and pain. He may not reflect. They are impermanent, stressful, subject to change, and he may not know the true nature of disgrace, praise, blame, pleasure, and pain. So we like comforts. We wish to live comfortably. But in reality, we are shaken by all these things. So when we encounter good conditions, such as gain, faith, praise, and pleasure, we are happy. Happiness is okay, not really a big problem. Sometimes too much happy, extremely happy. Then when we get lost, also extremely sorrow. So that means, although we have gain, we are pleased by gain, but this kind of pleasant feeling, that kind of happiness, are not the way to release from suffering. We have many different types of suffering. We cannot be free from rebirth, aging, death, sorrow, lamentation, pains, distress, despair. So all these things are undesirable. So sometimes we also have to consider our happiness produced by gain cannot last that much long. Then we have to understand temporary happiness is not really very important. We must think about long-time happiness. So in Buddha's teaching, we have many different types of happiness. I should introduce some of the happiness here. Because we have happiness produced by happiness. We can also say happiness followed by happiness. Sometimes happiness is followed by suffering. Sometimes suffering is followed by happiness. Suffering is followed by suffering. We have to understand these four types of conditions. So, in our daily life, we have some kinds of happiness. For example, you have to work very hard to earn money. If you can earn, you have happiness. It's a short-term happiness. If you get lost, it can change to unhappiness anytime. It can change to suffering. It's changeable. So, briefly, all the sensual pleasure are happiness, but is followed by suffering. For example, we may go to picnicking. Whole day, we may dance, sing the song, play the music. If you dance or very much long, or maybe we drink, right? They may take some alcohol, something like that. Then later, next day, their minds are not very active, drowsy, also wary of yesterday happiness, right? Previous happiness. So that means we have happiness, but all essential pleasures are happiness, followed by suffering, stressful life. One more thing here. As we have talked about K, okay, our mind is shaken by K. We have a lot of K, our mind is shaken, excited, happy too much. Similarly, when we have lost something, then we also feel happiness. We also feel stressful, also unhappiness. Our mind is shaken by what are the conditions again? So both gay and not gay can make our mind change, shaken all the time. So we have to stabilize our minds, not that much happiness, although we have good conditions. Not that much unhappiness, although we have bad conditions. This is the way we have to train, especially if we can know all the things are impermanent, we can change our mind easily. Then another thing is, okay, we have to connect the happiness again. There are some types of suffering followed by happiness. For example, when you do exercising, you may feel pain in your body too much, but for a long time it's good. It will make you better. You may have better lifestyle, healthy lifestyle. So this is a happiness. So suffering followed by happiness. Similarly, meditation. In the very beginning of meditation, you may feel pain in your legs, a lot of distractions, a lot of drowsiness. This is normal. But later, when you can concentrate very well, when you can practice very well, it's happiness, pure happiness. When we are going to make happiness, when we are going to find happiness in our environment, we need extra things. For example, when we are going to chat with our friends, we need telephone. We need our friends. But when we are meditating, we don't need any companions. We alone can enjoy this happiness. We cannot share it with anybody. This is pure happiness, our own happiness. It does not belong to anybody, but it comes from suffering. In a short time, we have to suffer from it. If we can achieve more than that, for example, if we can attain jhana or insight knowledge, path and fruition knowledge, sure, this kind of happiness is very, very supreme happiness, excellent happiness. So then we have another one, suffering followed by suffering, right? You have already know that one. So suffering, yes, there are many types of practice. Just for suffering, cannot produce any kind of happiness. There are many ways. We are wasting our time, right? Doing many different things. That's causing more suffering. Then finally, we have happiness produced by happiness or followed by happiness, such as entering into jhana. When you can enter into jhana, also happiness. After immersion, you can also review, also happiness. Then when you practice vipassana, also happiness. It can make you improve like that. So now here, we talk about worldly happiness, produced by K, faith, praise, and pleasant or pleasure. So by this kind of happiness, we cannot free from rebirth, aging, sickness, death, sorrow, lamentation, pain, displeasure, or despair. So we have to try to be free from all these things. Then again, noble disciples. So in the very beginning, the Buddha said how they react. That means there are two different types of person. One is uneducated, ordinary people. Next one is educated, noble disciple. So uneducated, ordinary people will not reflect as impermanent, stressful, or subject to change. They may not know the nature, the true nature of the worldly gains, laws, and conditions. Mostly when we are encountering bad situations, we have to reflect more. When we have, for example, if we lost something, okay, this will only short time. I can regain that one anytime. We have to try ourselves. We have to console ourselves by reflecting. Now here, okay, what about an educated, noble disciples reflect? Gain is it impermanent, stressful, subject to change. He knows the true nature of gain. So we have to know the true nature of gain. If we can know it well, we can release from suffering. At least we can feel happiness currently. Similarly, when encountering loss, fame, disgrace, praise, blame, pleasure, and pain, he may reflect. They are impermanent, stressful, and subject to change. He knows the true nature of all these situations or the worldly conditions. So if we know the true nature of these 8 worldly conditions, we are not shaken by these 8. Okay, we should say another way. For example, we are in the stormy ocean. This is our life. Our life is in the stormy ocean. Then we are, our mind is like a boat or a ship. Small boat or maybe a ship or yachts maybe. Then there will be very many waves. So our boat is striking by the first wave. Then it will move in other directions. Then striking by another wave, it will move to our direction again. So striking by many waves, we are moving like this. Similarly, in our life, we are striking by gain. Sometimes. Then they just follow gain every day, every night. Finally, they are not very happy. What they have earned, what they gain, the gain they have already got is not really valuable at the time. Similarly, loss. We get lost, a lot of stressful. Then we don't wish to do anything, just give up everything. Sometimes there are some people, even they commit suicide. It's very stressful. So the main thing is, if our mind is not blessed by good conditions, also not distracted by bad conditions, that means we are wiser, we are mature. So we have all these situations, 8 conditions, like 8 waves striking our boats every day, every night in the oceans of life. So we have to know they are changeable. The one more thing here, if we are mindful, we may know how to reflect. If we are not mindful, we may not reflect. We may not know how to reflect. So briefly, we can understand all these things. Some of them are agreeable or acceptable or desirable. Then some of them are unacceptable, disagreeable, undesirable. But although it's unacceptable, we cannot reject. So briefly, we can understand if we know how to reflect properly, we can be free from rewards, aging, sickness, death, sorrow, lamentation, also like a displeasure and despair. So we have to check ourselves, right? So sometimes we are unhappy, a lot of stress. Sometimes we are happy, then both of them are shaking our mind. So we have to check ourselves. How many times do we cry? How many times do we laugh? So that means we have encountered many worldly conditions in this very life. If we can change our minds, sometimes the way we value our life is different. We may value our life with money, maybe, with a position, with companions, friends, and environment. But real value comes from our inner mind. If our inner mind is peaceful, our life is valuable. It does not mean we must not earn money. It does not mean we must not gain anything. We have to gain something. But it's peaceful. If there's no peacefulness, this gain is something problem. Some problem, this is problematic, you can say like that. This gain is problematic. So gain must be come with peacefulness. If we don't have peacefulness, this gain can change to loss. Similarly, fame must become with peacefulness. Sometimes we become famous, influential, but we can lose everything. We don't have peacefulness anymore. This kind of peace is not, that kind of fame is not really valuable. Again, we also have a lot of praise and blame. Sometimes we are praised by many people. So if we like it, then this also can be the problematic. So that means don't follow the praise. Don't expect praise from the people. Also, again, don't expect not to be blamed by people also. We cannot expect anything from the people. We have to establish ourselves. Although they complain or they blame or praise, we have to establish our own life, our own peacefulness. Again, happiness or pleasure. Yeah, mostly people are happy with excitement. We have to have something new, exciting. Right? When they have something new, they are exciting. They are looking for excitement every day. So sometimes we follow many excitements, many new things, new happiness. But we cannot feel peacefulness. Sometimes happiness, the pleasure also change to pleasure, also change to suffering. We call Viprinama Dukkha. All the happiness can change to suffering anytime. Today we are happy. Now I think in India also you have COVID-19, right? COVID-19 outbreak. If you call sick, next day, change it. Happiness, suffering. So happiness can chained to suffering anytime. So just establish peace in our minds. Then here the Buddha also talk about the conditions of noble disciples. So noble disciples are not shaken by all these 8 conditions. That means although they have good conditions, they are not happy that much. They are not looking for happiness. Although they encounter many bad conditions, they don't feel unpleasant. They don't feel sorrow. Their minds are free. So when we have this kind of situations, sure, we are mature, right? Sometimes we are easy to cry, we are easy to laugh. Sure, that means we are not mature yet. When we are a little boy, little girl, we are very easy to cry, very, very easy to laugh. But when we grow older and older, not that easy to cry. Or not, we are not that easy to laugh or to smile. Even to smile is not that easy. So the main thing is, when we grow older, then our mind must be mature. To be mature, we have to establish ourselves by mindfulness and by wisdom. Here, the Buddha mentioned uneducated and educated. Okay, how can we decide educated and uneducated? Mostly we just think about learning knowledge, but here we have to think about practice and knowledge, experience. So the experience comes from practice. It's more valuable than the knowledge we get from the books. So that means when our mind is unshaken by the 8 conditions, that means we are mature. So we must try to be mindful, to reflect on the nature of 8 conditions. It will be much better. Then again, you have already know the Pali word, I think, this Tati Guna. Arhats has this quality. So Tati Guna means when encountering 8 worldly conditions, their mind is unshaken. Even you can find this kind of things in the Dhamma story. If very strong wind blow, then many trees will be shaken by the winds. If the wind becomes very strong, it can uproot the trees. So that means the trees can be uprooted by the wind. Similarly, if we are stronger, when our mind becomes stronger, we get white. But when our mind becomes very weak, even very minor things can shake our minds. For example, if we are not excited, getting $1,000, but we will get excited when we have $10,000. For example, if we are not very excited with $10,000, if we have $100,000, we will get excited. So similarly, sometimes we are stricken by small, very soft, breezy, right? Wind, breezy wind. Sometimes it's very strong wind. Sometimes it's uprooted our life. In your environment, you may see many people, they commit suicide because of bad situations they have. That means they are uprooted by the wind. We have another example. If we are a rocky mountain, solid rocky mountain, although we are blown by stricken by the wind, it cannot be shaken. Although it's very stormy wind, it cannot be shaken. Similarly, if we are mature, we cannot be shaken by any of worldly conditions. We have to check ourselves. We are a tree or a mountain, a rocky mountain. If we are a tree, we can be uprooted by the wind anytime. If we are a rocky mountain, we cannot be shaken by any wind. So this is the way we have to understand 8 Lokdhamma, 8 worldly conditions. From time to time, we also use as ups and downs of life. Anyway, the main thing is, when we have good conditions, we must not be proud of our situations. We must not follow it too much. We must not enjoy it too much. Enough is enough. When we encounter bad situations, we must not have that much suffering. Don't expect good situation too much. It's also temporary. We have to understand all these situations. Impermanent, changeable, stressful. So it depends on how mature we are. Trying to improve our mental quality, our maturity, then our lifestyle will change. In the very beginning, we are shaken by small things. Later, we're going to be shaken by small things, but shaken by big things. Later, if we try very hard, we're going to be shaken by anything. It will be more valuable life, more valuable peacefulness. Okay, today I will stop here. May you all be able to practice the Buddha's teaching, and may you all be able to realize the end of suffering, Nibbana. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
Bhante, can they ask questions?
Okay.
Okay. कोणाला प्रश्न आहेत का? अनम्यूट करा.
Okay. Is there any question?
Yes, ma'am. Vichara, Mr. Sachin.
Much respect and gratitude to Venerable. Bhante, I have one questions about the Anapana. Like I have seen the instructions on YouTube about the Anapana, your instructions, and I was following that instruction, and it make me to sit for a longer time. But when I sit for after 15 minutes, after some time, like I get the clear understanding of the breath as well. But as much as the time passes, so I started getting tensions around the nostril and around the head parts. And I also remember the instructions in that video you given, like relax the body. So I also started relax the body, but it keep continuing increasing the tensions, nostrils and head, and clear understanding of the breath as well. So I don't know how to proceed into this one and more focus on one-pointedness. So
okay.
Can you guide me, please?
Okay. So I think you may have known the instructions there. There are 3 things, right? In breath, out breath, and touching points. 3 things, right? As long as you can know one of the 3, is right.
Right.
So one more thing here. Sometimes you are focused on the touching point too much. If you emphasize focus on touching too much, it will happen like that. So that means if you can focus only on the breath, a little bit far from the skin, it will be much better, more comfortable for you. Okay? So one more thing is that, like, don't force too much. Sometimes when you forcefully focus it will get worse. So as you have understand now, relax more.
Yeah.
Make your breath natural all the time. Don't control, don't force. It will be easier. Another thing is, as I have said now, don't focus on the skin. It should be above the skin. Maybe a few, maybe centimeter or a few inches, maybe, right? Above the skin. As long as you can feel the breath, it's okay. Okay?
Okay. Bhante, I have one more questions. In one of the instructions, the death moment, like if the death moment comes and we have not mastered the being in a present moment with Anapana, so we are still student, and at the time of death moment, the last moment, sometimes we aware with breath and we aware with thoughts. So and sometimes the parallel thoughts and breath is also going on. So in that situation, so what would be the consequences of future birth? We don't know the clear, like this is, we are correctly on breath or correctly on thoughts.
Okay, actually, as long as it's not very bad thoughts, it doesn't matter. As long as you have wholesome thoughts, it's okay. It can be good destinations. Yeah. So if your mind is struggling for two objects, right? Good object and bad objects, maybe wholesome, unwholesome, so it will be a little bit serious. If your unwholesome thought is too much, then it will be bad destination. Wholesome thought is too much, then it can be good destination. It depends on what kind of thoughts you have, right? Yeah. You cannot say exactly how it happened. Okay?
Yeah. Bhante, one last questions about this, other than this topic of meditation, I would like to spend rainy retreats under your guidance, and I don't know the situation of the Myanmar. So is it possible in these situations to come under you for practice in rainy retreat?
In current situations, usually don't expect too much, right?
Yeah.
Even internet is unstable now.
Yeah.
Today I'm getting better, Yesterday, yesterday I was having a Dhamma talk, three times I have to restart Zoom, very, very terrible. So even telephone contact or anything now, very, very terrible. Don't expect too much, okay?
Okay, Bhante.
Okay. Okay, next question.
There is one question, not question. He requesting your blessing, Bhante. He said that his grandfather just died listening Dhamma talk. Speech aikta means he just died. His grandfather just died while listening Dhamma talk. So he asking for blessings.
Okay, so if he passed away while listening to Dhamma talk, this is a good sign. Don't worry about it, right?
Okay.
Okay, this one.
Yes. Yeah. There is he ask. You want to ask, Mr. Amit? Can ask. Unmute kara, Mr. Amit.
Vandami Bhanteji. Thank you for your blessing for my grandfather. He is hearing your speech, and today, some minutes ago, he's vacant his body. So I asking for his blessing.
He's the person just I talk about, Bhante. He telling us.
Okay, instead of talking about blessing, we should talk about sharing merit, right? It will be much better, right?
Yes, Bhante.
Right. Okay.
Okay.
At the end of this course, at the end of this session, we have to share merit, right? Okay. Don't worry about it.
Okay. Thank you, Bhanteji. Thank you. Sadhu.
Any question?
I think in chat box. No question, Bhante. Bhante, I asked the question.
Okay.
Bhante, when we enjoy and not enjoy this, when we enjoy in 4 Lokdhamma, which is produce happiness, and 4 Lokdhamma, which is not produce happiness. When we are in these Lokdhammas, in these conditions, in that moment, our ego is raising.
Sure. So that means if we are too much happiness or unhappiness, right? At that time, we are not mature yet. We can also understand like this. Another thing is like it. We also say now ego, our ego, right? Then our ego is also stronger. We may try to reject something, trying to expect something, that it become very, very bad situations. Okay. Next one.
Yeah, that's the question. Means how to control this the rising ego that time.
Okay. So yeah, the main thing is actually, okay, for example, like gain, for example, right? Gain and like loss, for example. So when we try to help many people with our gain, for example, right? Then although we get loss, we can recall good situation we have. We can still feel happiness because we don't waste our time with our gain. We just use our gain properly. This is the first thing we have to know. Similarly, faith. There are many influential people. There are some people, they just misuse their ability, their influence. So if we wisely use our influence, then it will be beneficial for our environment. It will be beneficial for many people. Then when we have deep faith or disgrace, we can recall all the situation we have done for the good of many people. We can still rejoice. I have never misused my ability. I have never misused my influence. So if we have this kind of situations, then we may have less ego, right? We have to think about many people's welfare and their happiness also. So the main thing is, good situations should be for the welfare of our environment, other living beings. Bad situations, sure, nobody will accept that one, right? We cannot share with anybody. We cannot help anybody. That one more thing, if we have done very many things good for other people, they will help us when we are in bad situations. Okay, briefly, don't expect many things from other people. Just trying to do for the welfare of many other people. We may have less ego. Then, although we have very bad situations, we can still rejoice. It's not that much stressful, right? We will not commit suicide when we encountering bad situations. So, okay, then there's a help other people. Okay.
Yes, there's one more question. Can we take?
Okay.
Please unmute.
Hello, Bhanteji. I have a question about if somebody is practicing very seriously in the lay life and they wanted to become a nun or a monk. So would you recommend them practicing celibacy and practicing more of the precepts in their day-to-day life if they can? Or is that something that you should wait for once you become a monastic?
Okay, for about the precepts as lay devotees, then I just recommend try as much as they can. It was flexible for lay devotees and not strict like a bhikkhus or somebody else. So there were many different situations for many different people. As a beginner, then if we can meditate very long time or just if we can observe a precept every day, sure, we can do every day. If we cannot do a precept every day, okay, we can limit the time. 1 week, maybe 10 days, 2 weeks, something like that. We can limit the time. After that, we can take a precepts, 8 precepts, 10 precepts, either one, it doesn't matter. So trying to take precepts first. So another thing is meditation. So in the meditations, there will be many different steps. Sometimes we are successful, sometimes we get lost in the practice. So the main thing is, as long as we have a knowledge or we have our own decisions, we can make our own decisions, we have ability to make decisions, it will be okay. We can improve our meditation. So for our ordination, before ordained, we have to consider situations. Can we live whole life, or how long can we live as an ordained person, right? So we are not guaranteed to be ordained person whole life, right? How long you will be as ordained person? So there are some devotees. As long as I can follow Vinaya rules, I will be ordained. If I cannot follow Vinaya rules anymore, I will disrobe. They have that kind of mind. It will be much better. So that means as long as you respectfully follow Vinaya rules, you can continue as ordained person. Much better. So sometimes we become very popular, very well-known, but not respecting Vinaya. Then it gets worse in the community, or the community, right? So, okay, briefly, it depends on your situations. If situations are good, if you are confident, become very strong, okay, all day. Continue ordained life, follow Vinayas, learn more Dhammas, much better. The more knowledgeable you are, the more beneficial for your practice, right? So, learn the knowledge, practice the knowledge, both should be at the same time in ordained life, okay?
Okay, thank you. May I ask just one very short question?
Okay.
So if somebody really, really strongly feel like they wanted to ordain because they feel like that way they can follow the most rules and they can progress very fast, do you have any suggestions or tips how to kind of go into it smoothly? Or I'm especially thinking about introducing that to the families, and especially because I'm from Western community, so my family and parents, they don't really know much about Dhamma. They are very Dhamma people, but they don't know. So do you have any suggestion for this kind of situation, please?
Okay, so in these situations, okay, you are a daughter, right? So you cannot expect from your parents anymore, because although you're trying to convince them, not that easy. I also understand that kind of situations. Okay, most of the time you must spend your time with like learning or meditation. It's good enough for now. But one more thing is like then how should we say the one about your parents, or do you have any other brother or sister, something like this? If you have many other brothers and sisters, then you also need their help. Like for your aunt, your uncle, you also need their help, right? If many of your like relatives come to know the situations of Dhamma or what you feel in your mind, then they can understand more. Another thing, you have to find who is more influential to your parents. Just discover them more. It will be more possibility to be ordained. Okay, one more thing. Before ordination, you must learn more Vinaya. Another thing, you must also learn how to follow. Actually, if you have very good beginning, you can also have good ending, right? That's why in ordained life, you have to start with very new. That's why as a lay person, you have to try how to observe the precept well. For example, when it's a bite, how do you deal with it, right? Striking or just rough, something like that. So you have to learn all the way to follow Vinaya rules or the precepts. If you can know how to follow the precepts, how to practice precepts, it will be more smooth for you to practice in ordained life. Okay?
Okay, thank you so much for this answer. Thank you, sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
There
Any
are
question?
no questions, Bhante. So
Okay.
I request for the blessing for all the meditators here,
Okay.
sharing merits.
Okay. Do you have any slideshow for it? No more?
No more, Bhante.
Okay. So I will chant by myself, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Edawada jahamehi sambadam bunya sambadam sabbe deva numodandu sabbe buddha numodandu sabbe satta numodandu sabba sambati siddhya idam me nyatinam hotu sukhita hondu nyadayo idam me nyatinam hotu Sukhita hontu nyadayo idam me nyatinam hotu Sukhita hontu nyadayo idam me punyam asawakaya waham hotu idam me punyam nibbanasa pacayo hotu mama punya bhagam savasatanam bhajimi te sabbe me samam Punya Bhagam Lavandu Sadhu Sadhu Sadhu.
Thank you very much, Bhante, for coming and giving us a very nice Dhamma talk. Sadhu, 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 Bhante. Ravindra sir, right, sir? सेशन एंड करत आहे मी 22 तारखेला आपलं सेशन स्टार्ट होणार आहे आणि त्या दिवशी सकाळी 5 वाजता आय थिंक सॉरी नॉट 5 वाजता सकाळी 6:30 वाजता भंते धम्म सरांचं प्रवचन राहील आणि सकाळी 5 वाजतापासून आपला सेशन स्टार्ट होणार आहे. ओके.